Hari Om everyone. So we are starting this class on Nyaya Sutras. We are approaching the end of the text. Yes, we are into the fifth chapter, part one, and then that will leave only the fifth chapter, part two, which is the shortest chapter of the text, only 25 verses. So this one has seven more. So let's see what we can do today. So we'll start with the chanting first, the Shanti part. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So we are starting with the Nyaya Sutra chapter 5 part 1. So you can say book 5 chapter 1 as they write here. So we had finished up till the 35th in the last class, Nityam Anitya Bhavat. So Anitya Samjati we were describing and answering. 36 we had completed, but I'll just repeat it for your benefit. Pratishedhye Nityam Anitya Bhavat Anitye Nityatva Upattehe Pratished Abhav. So if we look at the previous sutra also, then we see that in there the Nitya Samjati was mentioned. So Nityam Anitya Bhavat Anitya Nityatvam Upapatte Nityasam. So Nityasam Jati we say if we say that an object is non-eternal, Nityam Anitya Bhavat, then its non-eternalness remains always. So it is eternal in a way. That fallacy is called Nityasama. That is the object is as though eternal on account of its constantly being born and dying or appearing and reappearing. So there the Pratigya was, the Vadi was saying sound is non-eternal like a pot, but the Jativadi says, you say sound is non-eternal. So does this non-eternalness or Anityatvam exist always? In that case, the Anityatvam is Nitya, and if it exists sometimes, then it is called Nitya in that time period. So this was answered in this 36th sutra. So here we said that Pratishedhye Nityam Anityam Bhavat Anitye Anityatva Upapatte Pratished Abhav. So Pratished Abhav, this is no opposition. This is the last two words means this is no opposition that you are saying. Why? Because Pratishedhye Nityam Anitya Bhavat. So he's saying by admitting the non-eternality to be eternal, you have admitted the non-eternality. So you have accepted the non-eternality. Na? So you cannot deny the non-eternality. So next, coming to the next point, Anitya Anityatva Upapatte Pratisheda Bhavat. So the eternal and non-eternal are always incompatible. You can never say that this thing is eternal also, and you can never say this thing is not eternal also. So in this way, by admitting your non-eternality, you cannot now claim eternality in a roundabout way. You cannot, go around, okay, I admit your non-eternality, but in this way, your object is also eternal. So either you first refute me. So that is why this Nitya Sama or balancing the eternal is not sound. Right. So we will look at a very interesting example in the later part also, but I can tell it to you here also. So it is like if someone says that say Vadi and Prativadi, you can say take it that way. So if the Prativadi says to the Vadi, you are a thief, tum choro, you are a thief. So then the Prativadi will say, he say you, but you are also a thief. The Vadi, Vadi will say to the Prativadi, sorry, he will say that you are a thief. So A will say to B, you are a thief. Then B will say, you are also a thief. Now, who is being proved to be a thief here? Can you tell? कौन चोर हुआ? Is A the thief being proved to be the thief, or B being proved to the thief, or neither, or both? Can you?
Neither or both.
Neither or both. You are playing it safe. George, you want to try this? A says to B, you are a thief. B says, you are also a thief.
I don't think I can determine which is the
Okay, but you can't determine, but just follow the flow of the argument. If A is saying to B, you are a thief, B is saying you are also a thief, that means he has admitted that he is a thief. So B has admitted he is a thief. Whether he can prove A is a thief or not, that remains to be seen. But he has admitted. I am I am also. You ask me. You are saying to me that you are a thief, but you are also a thief, na? So also implies I have accepted that I am a thief, but I am counter accusing you also being a thief. So whether that counter accusation can be proved, that is remains to be seen. So that is the same thing with this Nitya Samajati. Nitya Samajati. Okay. In Nitya Samajati, the person who is being making the accusation, the other person is accepting that accusation. So I'll just come back to the text. So प्रतिषेध्य नित्यम अनित्य भावात अनित्य नित्यत्व उपपत्ते प्रतिषेध abhav. So you cannot do my negation. You cannot say I am a thief. First, you have admitted yourself that you are a thief. So same way also, you have admitted the non-eternality, right? So when you have admitted the eternality, sorry, when you have admitted the non-eternality, then your case of eternalness cannot be accepted. Further, we have said that by admitting the non-eternality, you cannot claim this eternality in a roundabout way. This nityatvam you cannot claim. Why? Because any object cannot have both, right? And any object cannot have both eternalness or non-eternalness. So further, the non-eternalness of Shabda, that is where the topic that we are talking about, is due to its ending or disappearing at some point of time, right? Shabda will end or disappear. It will start or it will end, right? So that cannot be refuted by you. So because something when it ends, that means it is non-eternal, right? Just like the body is non-eternal. So you have to accept the pratigya. That is what the Vadi will say, the first person. Then your question has no foundation. So to prove this eternalness, you have to show it doesn't appear or go away. Also, one more thing we have, this Shabda is what? Shabda is, we call the substratum, Adhikaranam. You understand the Adhikaranam, just like we saw in Tattvabodh or Atmabodh. The Atma is the Adhikaran, substratum from which everything emerges, right? So Shabda is the Adhikaranam for the Anityatvam. It is the substratum on which this Anityatvam rests. We call it the Adhe, Adhikaran and Adhe. So Shabda is the Adhikaran or substratum, and Anityatvam is the superimposition on that. So when we are saying that after destruction, the substratum is no longer there. When the substratum is no longer there, then how can you talk about anityatvam? Na? How can you talk about nityatvam and anityatvam? Then there is nothing to talk about. You discuss about the nature of something when it is present in front of you. But when it is not present, then you cannot discuss about its nature. That is the main argument here. So this is how this Nitya Sama Jati is refuted. So now we come to the last of the Jatis. There are 24 as we have seen earlier. So 24, 23 are finished. Now this one will need 6 sutras from 37 to 43. Or you can say 7 actually, if you include the conclusion also. So this is we are approaching the final Jati here. So what is this jati saying? So this is prayatna karya anekatvat karya sama. Karya sama is the jati here. So karya is an effect. So there has to be in any kind of subject or object, there is cause and effect. Something will be the cause, other will be the effect. So whatever is the effect, karya, it will be produced by some kind of prayatna. Prayatna karya anekatvat. So anekatvat we'll see. So prayatna, any kind of effect is born out of effort. Right? Any kind of effect is born out of effort. If it was not born out of effort, it would be ever existing. So we cannot say it is a karya. Just like Atma is beyond Karya, Karan Karya or cause effect relationship. So for every effort, there are different results. That is the Anekatvat. Anekatvat. For every effort, there are different results. So using this diversity of results to negate an argument about an effect is called Karyasama fallacy. You say that this substance can, this initial cause can produce different products. So using that, you can negate something. So we come back to the common proposition that we are using. So someone says, the Vadi says, sound is an effect like a pot. So every effect is anitya. So sound is an effect. So here we are focusing only the effect part. Sound is an effect like a pot. Then what will the Jativadi say to refute? We seen earlier also. Jativadi says, uh, you have to prove sound is an effect. So he is giving karyasam, anekatvat, multiple conclusions. So he's saying, Jativadi will say, what is the nature of your sound? Is it an effect of an action? Some like a potter is making a pot, so that is there is an action where a potter is making a pot. Something is created, right? Something is created out of another substance. Or what is it, like an effect? Like a well full of water. It is like a well is full of water. There is a lid covering it, and you reveal the water by opening the lid. Okay, is it clear? The two differences of an object can come into can be cognized uh, after it is brought into our sense brought into the grasping of our senses. So when this thing is can happen in two ways. First is the object is created out of something else, some other materials, or it can be a revelation. So just like opening the lid of a well, so then you can see the water. Earlier, it was not seen. So if it is the first thing, if it is the first thing, that is something is being created, then you can say it is non-eternal. Jativadi is saying that. But if it is revealed, then it is eternal because the object was already existent. The water was already there. So that means the water is already there. Water that is eternal. It just needed to be revealed, right? So if you understand where he's going to take us, he is basically saying that there can be two kinds of ways a substance can be produced, a karya can be produced. So that karya sama can happen only in two ways. One is that first is that the object is produced, manufactured out of some basic materials, or second is it is revealed. So how do we go into this? So कार्य अन्यत्वे प्रयत्न हेतुत्वम कारण उपपत्ते. कार्य अन्यत्वे प्रयत्न हेतुत्वम karan upapatte. So we are saying basically where he is taking us. The Jativadi is going to say finally that he wants to treat the sound as something that is being revealed, right? So we have to judge the direction is going to take us, and refute it beforehand. That is the way of, that is in Nyaya, we have to be very careful of if someone is going to take an argument in a certain direction, we should be able to judge instantly where he's going to take us, and then we can try and refute that. So the karya anyatve prayatna hetutvam karan uppatti. So we are saying that karya anyatve prayatna hetutvam, the argument for revealing an object. The argument for revealing an object is used for other objects. What other objects? The ones that are actually eternal, like Atma. So Atma is revealed, is covered by Ajnanam. So there it is revealed by Jnana. There what is happening is that something is ever present. It was even though hidden, it can be intuited all the time. Never can you negate Atma, because that is all ever present as I am and as I know. So in that sense, it is always present. You just have to turn your direct gaze towards that. But in this case of sound, it's clearly known as an its cause is clearly known as an effort. You can observe that the moment I rapped this table, a sound came. The moment I banged two utensils together, sound came. Or moment I split two things, like there is earlier the example of the branch. You break the branch, so splitting. Then what was the third cause? Friction, right? You rub two things together, so sound can come. So clearly, it is the effort that is producing the sound. Effort is not revealing the sound. So effort produces the sound, and it did not exist previously. So sound is produced as a result of the effort. In revelation, the effort doesn't produce the substance. In revelation, the effort is not producing the substance like Atma, right? So also in the case of potential, something is existing, like say in the potential state. So even the potentials exist, but that does not mean they have independent existence, right? All potentials, they reside in the holder. Or whoever is the holder of that potential, they reside in them. So sound also did not exist previously, like the water in the well. And we have also proved earlier about the whale, if you remember, that we have proved that there is no veil covering it. Otherwise, we could have perceived the veil, right? So that veil also you cannot again bring into the picture. So the Jativadi is just going about it in a roundabout way. And so because this veil is not perceived, we cannot posit that a veil has caused this hiding of the sound, that it was hidden by that veil, right? So that is how we have to take the veil argument. So we have reached two steps of the argument, right? This is what we call the six-step argument. The six-step argument. So what is the six-step argument? Basically, it says that when something is goes unresolved after six steps, then we'll leave it at that. We say that this is something that cannot be resolved by logic. It can only be answered by Shruti, and whatever Shruti says, we'll have to accept it. But because in Nyaya we do not use Shruti, we just take the logical aspect. So that we leave to the other darshan shastras like Vedanta and Sankhya. So there we use that Shruti. So what is the problem with this, with the pratishedh or the negation that the Jativadi has done? Pratishedhe api samana dosha. So we say that the same defect applies to the opposition also. So if they rebut this proof of sound as an effort, they are rebutting that sound is proved due to an effort by multiple effects arising from one effort, then their argument also negates their position of sound as eternal. Their also position is not being proved, which is the common refrain in all jati arguments. You cannot you cannot disprove my proposition by putting up an alternate proposition. You cannot prove your proposition. So it can so this same kind of argument can be used to negate the proposition of the Jativadi also. So that is why we cannot accept their position. Hence, using multiple effects of an action to negate is not tenable. Um, So if we accept that an object can be revealed, then why can't we accept production? Either you accept mine or I accept yours, but you cannot say that you can deny my proposition. You cannot deny my proposition. That is what is said here. So then this is applied to a general case. Sarvatra eva. So what I just said about the common refutation for most jatis, sarvatra evam. So this argument can be applied, this logic we can apply to all the different types of jati prayog. This logic we can apply to all the different kinds of jati prayog. So if a special meaning is to be attached to the opponent, if a special meaning is to be attached to the opponent, then the same meaning will have to be attached to the original argument, and hence there will be what we call an equality. Equality on both sides of the argument. So if there is equality, you cannot prove this is right or this is wrong or this is greater and this is smaller. So all the 24 kinds of jati prayog, like we started with balancing the homogeneity, etc., they are not satisfied, right? So sarvatra evam. So using this, we can negate. Why we can negate? Pratished, vipratished, pratished, doshvat, dosha. No, internet wala. So pratished, vipratished hai, pratished, doshvat, dosha. So defect, this dosh, that is defect, attaches to the opposition. Pratished doshvat dosha, and defect attaches to the opposition of the opposition to. So this defect can apply to 4 stages. So we can reach this to apply this to 4 stages. Pratished vipratished, whatever is proponent is saying something, so that is the first stage. A proponent is putting forward an argument, right? A, that is the first stage. Then the opponent disproves this by many-ended nature of effect. What is he saying? That a single cause can have multiple effects, right? So now the proponent disproves what are the multiple natures, many-ended. He is given only 2, that an object can be revealed by, it can be revealed also. That is, it can come to be perceived after revelation, and it can also be perceived after it is produced. So now the third stage, the proponent disproves by saying the many-ended argument applies to the opponent too, right? So the Vadi, that is the proponent, no? The Vadi is disproving by saying that you are giving a many-ended argument. This applies to you also. So that, and at the fourth stage, uh, the Jativadi will say the many-ended argument applies to the negation of the negation. So whatever you said, I negated, then you applied the negation of the negation, that applies to you also. So it is what we call a circular argument. It will go on and on, right? So they can keep accusing each other. So this is something that will never end. But ultimate answer is that only, that the initial proposition is never been proved, and neither is never been rejected, and neither is the second proposition being proved. So 42. प्रतिषेधम सदोषम अभ्युपेत्य प्रतिषेध विप्रतिषेधे समानो दोष प्रसंग मत अनुज्ञा, right? So pratished sadosham, any kind of negation is with some kind of dosha. So if B is using a technique to counter A, B is using a technique, the B is the Jativadi. So if Jativadi is using a technique to counter the Vadi, and then again A says the technique is defective, that your technique is of Jati, then B charges that the same defect applies to A also. That means what? Here, what I told you about the thief. That means B has admitted his technique is defective. He has admitted his technique is defective. So that means his technique is just his own opinion. His technique is just his own opinion by admission, and is not founded in logic. Hence, it will not be admissible. Just like the thief is said to be, A says that you are a thief, B says to A you are a thief. A says, uh, yeah, you are also a thief. So both, in that accusation, the person who first made the accusation will have been proved wrong. So it is called the admission of an opinion. It is called mat anugya. This is called admission of an opinion. So I have made an opinion. You have tried to refute me, but you are not able to refute me. But in trying to refute that, you say that this defect is applying to you also. So in saying that, you have accepted that there is a defect in the argument of the Jativadi. So this is the mat anugya. This is the admission of an opinion. So in all of these different stages, it can go up to maximum 6 steps. After that, you cannot go on. So at the sixth stage, what will have to be, the argument will have to end in this way, that the argument is not resolved, but the Jativadi cannot, has lost his fitness to continue this argument. The Jativadi has lost his fitness to continue the argument, because he has accepted that accepted the opinion of the Vadi. So what is the final sutra here? स्वपक्ष लक्षणः उपपत्तिः उपसंहारे हेतुः निर्देशे परपक्ष दोषः अभ्युपगमात् समान दोषः. So स्वपक्ष लक्षण उपपत्ति, to prove something or to admit something, admission of an opinion also occurs when the opponent, instead of trying to rescue his side when charged with their defect, parapaksh dosha abhyupagamat. So instead of trying to rescue his side when charged with a defect, doesn't give his own argument, but puts the blame of the defect on the first side. Abhyupagamat samana dosha. So then what happens? Upapatti samhare in the middle. So when he admits the defect occurs in the first person, he admits his own position as a defect. So same thing as the example of the thief. One side is accusing of the other of being a thief. Jativadi instead accuses the Vadi also being a thief. Then the first one is not proved wrong, but the second one is he's accepting that I am a thief, but you are also a thief. But whether the Vadi is proved a thief or not, that will have to come later. That will have to still a matter of being proved. So swapakshi lakshan upapatti upsamhare. Whenever someone is giving an opinion, swapaksha, then to conclude the argument, if the opponent's he doesn't give his own argument back, what does he do? Parapaksha dosha. He just puts the blame back on the other side. That means he is admitting the blame on his own side also. Whenever he says that you also have this defect, you also means I have that defect. That is the main thing. So in this way, this section on Jati is concluded. So now we can enter into the final chapter. So anything about this you want to ask, or maybe some questions about this part, or is it okay? Was this clear? The final part, the last 6 sutras?
Yes, sir. But if you can just give a 2-minute recap.
Yeah, I'll just summarize them. So it starts with Karya Samajati. So Karya Samajati is when someone is saying that any kind of cause can have many ended results. Any kind of cause can have many effects. So for that, we give 2 examples. The examples are that in this in Karya Samajati, any kind of effect can be observed or perceived in 2 ways. First is that it is produced out of some basic substances. So by matter of production, we can say that the object can now is available for perception. And second is it is revealed, like we saw in the case of the water of the well. So in this way, both are in a way methods by which an object can become an object of perception. Something can become an object of perception, right? So if in the first case, what will be the case? If something is produced, then you can say it is anitya. It is non-eternal. But in the second case, we will have to say it is nitya. So because it is already there. So to refute this argument, what we say is, refute this argument, what was said that uh, you are saying, okay, agreed that in your argument, you are saying that there are multiple results, but this does not apply to the subject in question. When you are talking about sound, then it is clear that sound is not being revealed. No, sound is not being revealed. So since sound is not being revealed, then that means that there is no veil covering the sound. So that is clearly a case of production. It is not a case of revelation. So there you cannot say it is nitya just because an alternate exists, like in the case of actually eternal substances. So we say to them, your this negation that you are doing is this fault applies to you also. So now the Jativadi says, but this flaw applies to you also. Why can't we accept either of that there be a multiple ending in nature? So to that we reply again that multiple ending nature means we accept the same object as eternal and as non-eternal. How is that possible? Same object cannot be both eternal and non-eternal. So now this argument and counter argument is finally concluded that this is the actual way by which we negate all kinds of jati prayog. All kinds of jati prayog we negate in the same way. So in this way, the flaw in your final argument is to be understood in this way that when I have said something, you have negated it. I said that the defect applies to you. Then I can use your argument to apply to you. Then when you say that the same defect again applies to you at the fourth stage, then you are accepting that your argument was flawed. So you are accepting your argument was flawed. Whether mine is flawed or not, that is a matter of debate, or that needs to be proved by you. Right. So in this way, my proposition cannot be wrong by you or cannot be disproved by you. So in this way, we have to accept that the sound is eternal. But even if we don't accept, we leave it to the uh, to to Shruti. So this is not mentioned here. Of course, I'm saying this from my own side. Shruti will decide this. So in Shruti, what is said? Anyone remembers from Tattva, sound is eternal or not? What does Tattva
Um,
say? Yes.
Probably not.
Not right. It's not eternal. Yeah. Because why? Because there we understand that sound is a guna, right? So all the five elements have five gunas. Yeah. So Akash has only one guna. So that guna is sound. So something that is a guna is guna we say partantratva. It is dependent on something as for its existence. So Shabda is dependent on Akasha for its existence. All kinds of dravya and guna are interdependent. So that means they are non-eternal. So Shruti says that. But by logic, we cannot prove it. By logic, we cannot. So in this way, we accept. Of course, Vedant use one of its own logic also, but that is not used in Nyaya. So we'll move on to the next chapter. So this is about the next kind of logical fallacies. We call them nigraha sthan. So in any kind of argument, we reach what we call a conclusion, a nigraha. The ground for conclusion is nigraha sthan. So that nigraha sthan can be faulted, or we call here the word used here is occasion for rebuke. Occasion for rebuke. Nigraha sthan. So in any kind of argument, some kind of conclusion is given. If that conclusion is not founded on a very sound footing, then that is to be that argument cannot be accepted. These are what we call the main logical fallacies. So jati is actually you can club them all of them under one kind of fallacy. But of course, we have seen that there are so many subtle differences in all the different kinds of jati. So here we have the different kinds of uh, what we call nigraha sthan or logical fallacies. The ground for your conclusion is wrong. So why is it wrong? So there are different kinds. Pratigya hani. We shall see all of them in more detail later on. We're just enumerating them here. So pratigya hani. Pratigya hani is pratigya is you are giving a proposition, but then through your argument you are hurting your own pratigya. Some kind of example that you give is wrong. So we'll look at that. So pratigya hani is where you are hurting the proposition. Then pratigya antaram, you change, you are shifting the proposition. You are giving one pratigya, opponent gives some kind of objection, and then you slightly change your proposition. So that is not right? So like in mathematics, if you are giving a theorem that a triangle has all three angles are 180 degree. Then someone will come up and say, yes, this is according to the normal geometry. But what about the other kinds of geometry, like Minkowskian geometry? Or what is used by Einstein also in his theory of relativity. So there, what is happening is the sum of the 3 degrees of angle will always be less than 180. Right, so that is different. So there, if someone says, oh, that is an for another plane, so you have your proposition should include all the kinds of arguments that is necessary, right? Any even a very simple proposition, something like in maths, like you say that a line is in extending infinitely uh, in all directions, in two directions. So even that kind of simple thing to prove it, you know what the length of the proof is for that. Very detailed proof for a very simple thing. So in between, if you shift, that is called pratigya antaram. Then pratigya virod. You have given something, then you end up accepting the opposite proposition. That is called pratigya virod, or opposing the proposition. So it is like you don't even understand what you are trying to say. Then pratigya sannyas. Sannyas is giving up. So like in sannyas, sannyasi comes, someone becomes a sannyasi, gives up the word. So pratigya sannyas is your proposition you have put forward your proposition, but that proposition again you are giving up. Then hetvantaram and arthantaram. So hetu is again, the reason, the reasoning that you give for any kind of propositions. So that when you shift the reason, so you have given some reason, you find that reason is insufficient or wrong or whatever, and you are shifting it to another reason. So that is also considered a fallacy, right? So make up your mind before giving up your reasons. Like you submit some homework for your class and you find one of your reasons given is wrong. The teacher will say wrong. Then he will say, do the whole homework again. Right? I don't know if you have faced it in schools. I have faced it and I've seen other people facing it. So teachers used to be very strict. It's very good. You have to be very sure about what you are writing. So that is hetvam arthantaram. Then nirarthakam. So sorry, I am mixing up two. Hetu antaram and then arth antaram. Arth antaram is artha is the conclusion or the meaning of something. So you are shifting the topic itself. Whatever topic you were talking about, you shift to another topic. So that is shifting the reason. Then nirarthakam, meaningless talk, going into meaningless topics. Then avigyata artham, something unintelligible. You're saying something that even maybe you yourself are not understanding. Aparthakam, something incoherent. You're saying something, but the words are not clearly heard. Some people do it deliberately. They say something, muttering something, so that they cannot be charged with whatever was being said. Then aprapt kalam. So something that is not the right thing to be said at the right moment, inopportune, aprapt kalam. Then nunam, then adhikam. So saying too little, nunam. Then adhikam, saying too much. Some people, in proving something, they go haywire, all kinds of directions. So that is not correct. Then punaruktam. Punarukti is a very interesting fallacy. It is used a lot in Shastra to, in fact, do the opposite. You know what? Punarukti in Nyaya is a very big logical fallacy. It's a serious logical fallacy that you don't need to repeat your argument. Punarukti. But in Shastra, especially the Veda, the Punarukti is accepted to stress something. Right. This is a very important thing, so I'm saying it again. So, if you remember, Anita, you were in yesterday's class.
Yes,
Yeah,
Upanishad.
yeah. So there you saw that in one shloka, the last two words are repeated again, twice again. I think it's in the sixth or no, it's the seventh. I think I'll just check and let you know. So there, the same shloka, same thing was repeated twice, just to emphasize something, right? So there, this thing happens in Shruti that for emphasis it is repeated, but in Nyaya, in the case of an argument, you are not allowed to do that. Hmm? So that is how Punarukti is a important word. Then Punaruktam Anubhashanam. Puna. So Anubhashanam, uh, Bhashanam, you are saying something. Anubhashanam, you are silent. You're not saying something. You're not saying something or not saying something at the right time. Then Agyanam. Agyanam is you can are you able to understand which part I'm reading? Because you know you have to split the word. So if you see the third line, you start with Punaruktam, then there will be if you split it at Ma, then there will be an after that because Ma is with Halant or a dash. If you know Anita, you know about this Halant?
Yes, somewhat.
Yeah. So yeah, in Halant. Sanskrit is a bit different from Hindi. Hmm. So if you say a word, there is no vowel in that, we write it with a dash at the bottom. So that is called halan. So that means it has to be pronounced without the vowel. So if you say in Hindi, you will write Ram, Ma. So you will say Ram. But in Sanskrit, you will put a dash at the bottom to indicate the sound is not coming. So you know, in lot of people in English, they say Rama. So those who are proper Hindi speakers or those who even are Sanskrit speakers, they will object. It is not Rama, it is Rama. But there is a slight difference in Sanskrit. What it will be? The ma sound will be complete. So it is not Rama, but it is Rama. So Ram and Rama. So that is the correct pronunciation when the halant is not there, the dash is not there. Hmm. But if the dash is there, that means it is pronounced as with Ram. And then that means when in a sentence that ma is written full without the halan, that means there is an attached to that. That will go to the next word. That will go to the next word. So there, that is why punaruktam is the word that with the ma at the end is half without the vowel. So with the halant. So that means anubhashanam because nanubhashanam will become a totally different meaning. Huh? So that is why punaruktam anubhashanam. Then because of this again, anubhashanam, the ma has a halant there. So will come. You have to add an to the next word. Otherwise, it will become the reverse word again. Because here you might read it as jnanam, whereas it is agyanam. Right? Same thing happens with pratibha. It is not pratibha, it is apratibha. So this is how when you split a word after sandhi, the vowels get joined together. When you split them, you have to separate the vowels, and you have to know a bit about the word structure so that you can separate the vowels. Right? So agyanam is you have ignorance of the subject. And pratibha is talent, right? In common parlance. But pratibha also involves capacity to convey something. Capacity to convey something. So apratibha means non-ingenuity. You are not exactly capable of going through with your argument. Then vikshepaha. Vikshepaha is evading something, evasion, evading tactics. Then comes to matanugya. If you remember the last sutra, just going back, 42nd, at the end is matanugya. This is admission of an opinion, right? So that is one of the jati. So here also, that actual word is admission of an opinion. It comes under nigrahasthan, matanugya. Then
Submission
parya
of,
anuyojya. Yes?
does it mean admission of bias?
Yeah, admission of an opinion means that someone has made an accusation, and you say, yes, this is just my opinion. I have no logical proof for that, like that. So you can
Or
say sort of bias, uh, but you are admitting that you made a proposition, but you do not have the full formal proof of that. That is matanugya. Okay. Then matanugya, then parya anuyojya, overlooking the censorable, then apekshanam, censoring something, then just go down, and so that you can also look at the English. Then niranuyojya, censoring the non-censorable, anuyoga, then Apasiddhanta. The Apasiddhanta, Siddhanta is the tenet. It is very similar to the first one. Huh? It is Apasiddhanta. Siddhanta is a tenet or something that you're trying to prove. Apasiddhanta is deviating from the tenet. And then Hetva Bhasaha. Hetu Abhas. So Hetva Abhas is Manita was not there in the earlier classes, but Hetva Bhas is considered as taken as a separate logical fallacy, and it has 4 parts. So that we look that was in the second chapter, but we can look at it again also. So Hetva Bhas, Hetu is the reason. Hetva Abhas is semblance of a reason, something that is looking like a reason, but it is not actually so. So these are all the Nigraha Sthan. These are all the Nigraha Sthan. So I think we can continue with the actual ones in the next class, because then this one will have to go into at least 2 sutras more. Do we want to do it today?
no, sir, next class.
Next class we'll do it. Yeah. Because now we have looked at all these. This takes a lot of time, just going through all these, but discussing, each of them, we will do that. So hopefully we have now 24 more. So maybe 2 or maximum 3 classes. We'll try to wind it up. Right. So you guys also think it over what we want to do next. We can go for an Upanishad, or we can go for either Vaisheshik, which is, as I said to you earlier, like physics, our physics, and or we can go for yoga. Lot. It's also a very interesting one. We started yoga earlier, but we finished maybe 2, 3 classes, and then again we thought maybe too much. It's not easy to conduct both classes for me also, so we shifted to only Nyaya. So you can discuss in the group also if you like, or you can talk. And actually, when you want to go ahead with it, because Sunday, you guys sometimes maybe want to go out. Anita likes Vaisheshika. Okay, we can think of that. Vaisheshika is nice. And I think I'll be able to do more justice to it also, because I have finished my book almost. At least I've translated the sutras, and I have done the introductory part. So right now I'm just doing the part where we are doing this. Okay, so we can think of that. So we'll record that also. We'll put that online. Nyaya we didn't put online because at that time we started long ago. Till then we had not started putting it online, right? Okay. Okay, then let's wind up for today. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming. Thank you, Anita. Thank you, George. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.